Hello, Snickers and Butterfingers. Okay, for our review today, we are going to be doing two things. The first thing we're going to be doing is dividing fractions. Before we even start, I think I gave you guys too many problems to do. If you want to do them all, do them all. But if not, I want you guys to cross out number 4. You do not have to do number 4. On the back, you can cross out number 5. You do not have to do number 5 either. So now you just have 4 problems on the front and 5 problems on the back. The ones on the back will go super quick though. Okay, so first let's look at the front. I want to do one on each side so we know what we're doing. The front is dividing fractions. We know how to do this, it's just been a really long time. So I want to go over 2 problems to review it. So our first problem is 5 divided by 1/3. The very first thing we have to do before we divide is make sure all of our numbers are fractions. This number right here is not a fraction. It's a whole number. So because it's a whole number, this means it's 5 wholes. So we can rewrite it as 5 over 1, or 5 wholes. And then 1/3 is already a fraction, so I can leave that how it is. Now we're going to do keep, change, flip. I know it's been a while since we've done this, but keep, change, flip. So when we do this, we are going to keep our first number, 5 over 1, change division to multiplication, and then flip our second fraction. So now I have 5 over 1 times 3 over 1. It's just a multiplication of fractions problem right now. So I'm going to multiply straight across the top, 15, and straight across the bottom, 15 over 1. That's 15 wholes, so that's the same as just 15. Okay, if you want to pause the video and get this all down, go ahead. I'm going to move on to setting up number 2. For number 2, I read the problem and it's 2 2/3 pounds of Skittles split up into groups of 3/4 pounds bags. So I'm taking a whole and splitting it into groups. So it's going to be division. So if I have 2 2/3 pounds of Skittles divided by 3/4. First, before I can divide, I need to make sure all my numbers are fractions. This isn't a fraction. This is a mixed number. So I need to convert it to an improper fraction. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to squeeze in Texas. So a T or a plus sign up here and a multiplication sign down here. So this means I'm going to multiply my whole number 2 times 3, which is 6. I'm doing whole number times denominator plus 2. And then keep my denominator 3 the same. This is going to be 8 because 6 plus 2 is 8. Then I'm going to rewrite the rest of it, divided by 3/4. Now that I have 2 fractions and we're dividing, I'm going to do keep, change, flip. I'm not going to do this part for you. I'm going to let you guys do that on your own so we can move on to the back. All right, now we're going to be looking at the back side. Substitution and inequalities. This is really tricky, and we haven't talked about this in class, but I know that this group, both the Snickers and the Butterfingers, can tackle this. So let's look at it. You're going to see a problem very, very similar to this on your benchmark, so pay really close attention. So in the first one, y squared is less than y. The question is, which of the following could be a value for y? I'm going to look at this, and I know that y squared is y times y. So that's telling me that if I multiply a number by itself, it's going to be less than the original number. So I'm going to look at the answer for A. That's saying that 40, A would be saying, if A was true, it would be saying 40 times 40 is less than 40. 40 times 40, just doing it off the top of my head, is 1,600. 1,600 is not less than 40. So now I'm confused because if I multiply a number by itself, it gets bigger. So I'm going to look through the answers. I know B isn't correct because that would be 4 times 4, which is 16, is less than 4. That's not correct. So B It's not A, it's not B, cross off B. C is definitely not correct because if I multiply 4,000 by 4,000, that's not going to be less than just 4,000. So C is not correct either. So I'm confused because it seems that all of my numbers, when they're squared, are getting bigger. But let's look at D. D, we have a fraction, or a decimal. So D would be 0.4 squared, if D was true, is less than 0.4. So that's saying that 0.4 times 0.4 is less than 0.4. I'm going to do it out on the side just to check. So if I have 0.4, 0.4, 4 times 4 is 16. I need to move my decimal 2 places because I have 1 digit here and 1 digit here behind the decimal. So I'm going to move it over 2. I have 0.16. 0.16. This is true. Because look at our number in the tens place. Here we have a 1 in the tens place. Here we have a 4 in the tens place. So the number in the tens place of this number is bigger. So that means that this is the correct answer. So when we have a question like this that's asking what number squared is less than the original number, it's always going to be the decimal, as long as the decimal is less than 1 or a fraction. Because if y is bigger than 1, it's just going to get bigger when you multiply it by itself. If y is less than 1, it's going to get smaller. Okay, try your best. It's as soon as you catch on to what's going on, these problems on the back will be super quick and easy, I promise you. Best of luck.